It's my husband, myself, Brandon, who's going to be 20 this month, and my daughter, who's 10. Both my husband and I work full time for now. That's about it. And then my oldest out December of last year. So that's our family.
Mhm. So what was it, very briefly, what was the pandemic like for you? How did you manage work? How did the kids react to remote and all of that?
Well, as far as work, March of early March of 2020, we started hearing at work about how things were going to start shutting down,
Mm,
companies, schools, that type of stuff. And I work alongside the president and VP. So I was very privy to conversations that we're having early on about how their
wow.
position, we're not going to shut down. We're
Wow.
not going to work from home. So I started
Oh,
panicking because I
yeah,
was like, well, am I going to ever do this?
yeah.
Um, so on the 16th, I got the call from school saying that they were going to shut down the schools. And I said, I'm just going to have to go and tell them what my position is. I can't just go and ask because I know I'm going to get a no because that is their position.
Right, right.
So I went to the president and I said, schools are closing. I can no longer work at my desk. I need
Yeah.
to work from home. And begrudgingly so, I'm sure.
Uh,
He laptop and I worked from home up until May of 2021.
oh, okay. Okay.
As
So
far
you
as
proved that it could work, you know.
it, it, it,
Yeah.
it could totally work. There's no reason why I had to go back, but I understand their reasoning.
Mhm.
Um, as far as how it affected Brandon regressed. His
Uh,
behavior were very bad, very bad. I remember there was one point where it was so bad that I had to lock him in his room. I would put a drawer in front of his
oh,
room and I had to just separate him from his sister and myself
oh,
because
yeah.
the aggression was very, very bad. I remember conversations with the doctor on the phone crying, saying, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Hmm.
Uh, trying different medications. School, we tried that and he could not
Right.
sit 15 minutes. It was very bad. It was
Of
very
course. Yeah.
so we really didn't do a lot of school work as far as that's concerned. Um, my daughter, she was able to do that, but she too regressed academically.
Oh,
My daughter,
yeah. What a shame. Yeah.
um, but to this day, she has supports in place because of that academic
Hmm.
regression.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was a very, very tough time for us, and we saw a regression across the board.
Right. Our guys thrive on routine and, predictability. And then that was all just pulled out from under them. It was, there were a lot of different reactions
Yeah.
from kids like ours that, the pandemic produced. So did the school have any kind of like, alternate ways of teaching, like, sending paper
They
home?
did. They did. They did send
Hmm.
like packets, and we would review them.
Hmm.
Sometimes therapist would come over. He would do that with him.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but there was some time there. Therapist come over because he's a man of particular age. He's a senior, so he had to keep safe as well.
Sure, sure.
So really, you know, Brandon and myself and his sister at home.
Hmm.
So that's why it was, so
Oh, that
hard
was
because
tough. Yeah.
he knew
Yeah.
me.
So your husband had to go in person.
Yeah, he had to go drive. So he's a trucker, so he had to go drive.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
But it was very stressful, very hard
Oh,
time.
sure, sure. Um, the I mean, we could go on for hours about,
Yeah.
about that time in history and how it affected our guys. But specifically this project wants to know about the vaccines. Now, were you Did you have any concerns about getting vaccinated
Uh,
for your family, for yourself?
I did. But then I just started like reading up on it, and you know, I let some other people go before me.
Oh,
I
right, right. Yeah.
said, okay. And then being here at home and hearing the constant ambulances, it
Oh,
was,
wow.
you would hear the ambulance, you would hear the ambulance, you would hear the ambulance.
Wow.
Like every single day, you would just hear the ambulance, and it's like, and the people dying, and people
Oh
that
my
I knew,
gosh.
father passed. And
Oh,
it's like,
right.
it's not good at all. I was
Hmm.
like, so I guess the fear of dying was much more than
Right.
with this vaccine.
Hmm.
Um, so Brandon got it. He was
Okay.
actually the get it because he's in that population, disabled community. They were able to get it before.
Oh, right.
Uh,
Those categories, right. Yeah. Yeah, even that, it wasn't that clear. Did you get him in under as having a neurologic uh
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay. Yeah, because that,
yeah.
some of those categories were a little vague. I mean, I actually had to, maybe not for the first one, but for the second round, when you had to fit in, the only way we could get him qualified was under obesity, which is like, totally had
Uh,
nothing to do with the main reason that
yeah,
we needed to get it. It's like people pretended they were smokers. So,
yeah.
so just, I mean, when anybody,
Mhm.
um, so did he get the vaccine at one of those super centers, or did you?
We went we went to a senior citizen place in Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a very large senior citizen place in Monroe. That's
Hmm.
where Brandon for the
Hmm.
first, second one.
Okay.
And months after, we were able to get it, and we
All
went
right.
to like this huge stadium type of thing, and we were
Okay.
all, the whole family, even my oldest, we were able
Hmm.
to get it. And then 2 weeks after, we went, and um, we didn't see any effects as far
Okay.
as uh,
Oh, like the
the vaccine.
after. Yeah.
We were fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
we were
Good.
okay. And we didn't get COVID until maybe, I would say, 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it was light.
Hmm.
It was light. It was like a little bit of a sneeze, a little bit of a cough.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I would say I and Brandon.
Hmm.
Brandon had a bit of a fever for about a day and a half. I was a dish rag.
Oh, yeah.
I was not good at all. I was like
Yeah.
2 days. Um, but that was it.
Right.
The rest,
Which, you get those flus anyway, and we've all survived those.
but I'm glad.
Compared to, the horrors, like you're saying, it was not an ambulance situation. You know, thankful for that. How did Brandon react to having to get the vaccine? I mean, was he okay? Like
Yeah.
just I mean, for me, just having to bring him to an unfamiliar place would have, could be terrifying. How did he manage?
Well, I talked to him before,
Okay.
and when we got there, I didn't do all that line. I told them,
Oh, yeah.
like, okay. So then, they saw, and they were really helpful.
Oh,
And then
good.
we were able to get there and
Hmm.
go.
Hmm.
Um, so because I wanted to do it real quick, because Tara, how they
Oh,
are,
sure.
you know,
Sure.
certain that we already know them, and it's like, let's just get this done and go, because if not, a behavior is gonna pop up, and then so we were able to do that, and he was fine with it.
Hmm.
Um, and glad
Did
he got
he,
it.
did you have to wait very long on a line? Because, that can also cause
No, no, no.
anxiety.
The line was moving fairly well,
Oh, good,
and
good.
once um I think one of the people noticed there
Mm-hmm.
disability, and then she called me over to another line, which was
Oh,
nobody
very
there.
good. Oh, good, good. Yeah.
There's always good people, Tara.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank goodness for that. Right. People who are, who can see, you know.
Yeah. And
Um,
then they were nice with him. They said, "Hey, give me your arm," and that type of stuff. And
wow.
but, you know, like, okay, like, I don't know these people. There's a lot of people here, but
Yeah.
he was okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Did you have any, so did you rely, you said you were reading up on the vaccines. Did you talk to your doctors at all? Where did you get
Uh,
most of your information about the
I
vaccines?
I got most of my information from the TV, from
Okay.
news outlets, um, but really, really, it was me, like a personal, like what do what do I want from my family?
Yeah,
You know,
sure. Hmm.
do I want to be protected? I'm like, we've gotten other vaccines,
Mm, hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and there's some that I haven't given my children to this day.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know, um, so it's not like I'm anti-vaccine. I'm certainly not anti-vaccine, but I do have conversations with my doctor,
Okay,
specific
good.
about, hey, what is this for? Do
Hmm.
you need,
Right. What are the risks? Yeah.
yeah. And then this one, I was like, I can't risk something like this happening to my
Oh,
my
yeah. Yeah.
family.
I have spoken to other parents who were like, oh no, no way, we're not taking a chance on this vaccine. I said, well, look, try to picture your kid by themselves in a
Mm,
hospital. This is
yep,
early on where if you got it, it was pretty severe.
yep.
And unfortunately, even though I can't blame people for having concerns or just questioning, uh,
Yeah,
the alternative was much worse. Um,
exactly.
so,
Mm.
now, so your son was high school age at the time. Had you thought about what was going to happen for post-graduation? I know my son graduated in the middle of the pandemic. There was very little in the way of transition to an adult program. Did you get a chance did he lose out on, say, community outings, and did he get an extra year of school?
No, no, because Brandon is 19 now. That was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So that would happen.
Okay. So
Yeah,
he missed it. Yeah.
missed it. Yeah, he missed it.
Hmm.
Um, that would have been great if he could have, they gave him
Right.
a year.
Yeah,
Um,
extra year.
but missed it by.
Hmm. And did you try to get any compensatory education? Obviously he missed out on uh,
Yeah,
therapies.
about they did call me about compensatory education, but they
Mhm.
said Brandon's getting therapies in school already.
Right. Yeah.
Um, they're like, you know,
Yeah,
what
it's too
more?
much. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Right. Was there anything else? Did you feel like parts of the community were left out of what the state could have done to help our guys, not just the disability community, but any part of the state? Did you feel like there was anything else that the state should have done differently or could do better in the future in
Mm.
responding to the pandemic?
Um, I'm I really don't know because this is a
Yeah,
once
right.
thing. I hope it's
Yeah,
a
hopefully.
hope.
Knock on wood, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's we kind of just, were able to get through it. There are other people, I've spoken to other people with disabilities, and for example, the transportation issue, like, that I have one friend who's a full-time wheelchair user, and he said it would have taken 3 bus transfers and like almost 2 hours to get to one of the mega sites, and
Oh,
you know, luckily our guys are still under our care and we can manage that kind of thing for him. Did you have any issues with, let's say, teachers having, other people around that our kids have to deal with? Did you have any problems with their either refusal to get vaccinated, or, was there anybody that you felt like stay away?
No, I didn't have any problems with that because Brandon was at home with me all the time. Then when he went back to school, it was masks. Everyone had to have
Oh,
masks.
right. Okay.
So, even and I wasn't privy to what the teachers,
Yeah.
I don't know. But like you, I do know of people, good friends who didn't get the vaccine.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And at some point it was like, oh boy, you can't talk about it. Like I remember telling my daughter, listen, you go back, don't talk about it.
Right.
Like you had this thing where, oh, your vaccine, oh, well, so and so's kid, they did that to that kid. Oh, so his mom gave her the vaccine. Oh, and it was like some type of like,
Like, what's wrong with
I
you?
don't know.
What kind of parent are you for vaccinating you?
It
Yeah,
was like
that's a
keep
shame.
to yourself,
Yeah,
Um,
it's a shame
it was
that
all
somebody so young would have to be in the middle of that and have to defend. It's really not.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I told her we are trying to do the best for our family, and other families will do what they think is right for their families.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, she's only 10, Tara, so I mean,
Right. So I can't imagine, like, even a year ago, how, if she would have had to defend that.
yeah,
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 that's tough.
yeah.
How did your guys do with masking and social distance?
That masking was okay. He got it. He
Oh,
got that
okay.
pretty good.
Oh,
He
good.
did.
Good.
The touching and that was,
Yeah.
so it was good that he was home with me,
Mm-hmm.
because had he been out in the public during this time, he would have gotten hit by somebody.
Oh,
Um, I do remember, like it was yesterday, I went to ShopRite with him.
mm-hmm.
He had a mask on, I had a mask on, and I was pushing the cart. He was right behind me, or I thought he was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and this lady by, and he touched the arm,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I didn't notice because I'm looking at the stuff and putting it in my
Right. You're
car.
trying. Yeah.
Hear her, don't you touch me!
Mm-hmm.
Ah! And screaming at him, and he's looking at her like, he
Like, what's the
doesn't
big
know.
deal? Of course. Of course.
I go over to him like, listen, he's autistic. I don't care.
Right.
And then
Right.
thought that he was just looking at her like, and then she understood like, oh, he really, is. And she's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I'm like, he's gonna get, because this is,
Oh, yeah. That's.
times where if you sneeze next to somebody,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that was not a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and ShopRite too. When we started going back to the stores, Patrick has this thing. Like, he was okay. It took him a while, but he eventually was okay with wearing a mask. But the social distance, he just has no concept. And so if we're in a store, he has to walk along, like following the lines in the tiles on the floor. So he'll just go straight, and it doesn't matter if there's anybody standing. you know, Most of the time, I mean, he's so big that people will, like, the seas will part for him, but
Wait,
like,
wait.
that's the path he's taking. Stay out of my way.
Uh,
So he's never, like, deliberately aggressive, but just don't get in his way. And that's hard to teach. It's hard to teach, like, well, this much space is okay, that much is not. there are a lot of things that people take for granted. Like you said, touching everything.
Yeah,
I know some kids who are always putting things in their mouth, and
yeah. The things that they were saying for us to do, you know, a typical person, yeah, they're able to do that.
right,
Our
right.
they are not able to do that. Not all of them.
Yeah.
Some, yeah, but certainly my son,
Mhm.
gonna go out in public. He's gonna touch somebody. He's gonna touch
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Mhm.
Um. So yeah, it was good that we were home most of the time because I
Oh,
I, I could have seen him getting hurt
well,
by some.
yeah. Now, so for the future, you're planning to have your son go to a day program.
Yeah.
Um, have you looked at any other? I know that you have one place in mind, but have you looked at any of the other day programs?
Did give a call to another in Cranberry, so
Okay.
I'm hoping to hear from them soon.
Mhm.
Um, see what that's about.
Okay.
But that is the goal. The goal is to get him into
Good.
a couple of.
Yeah, it's good that you're starting this early because some people these days trying to get into a adult day program, it's very tough. And one possible reason, I don't know that necessarily that this is true, is that all of the workers in an adult program are required to be vaccinated with a few exceptions. So I think a lot of places, schools and so on, have staffing shortages anyway.
Yeah.
But for the day programs, on top of that, if people are not willing to be vaccinated, it might be a little harder to recruit new people. So I think some of the adults may be having trouble finding a placement for their guys because of that. I'm kind of grateful that they are, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
most of the support people are vaccinated.
All of the people
But
that gave me.
it's kind of a tough call because if you can't find a place for your guys, if you need to work all day and there's no place to send them, it's got to be tough for some families. And then you know, they're safe, but if you don't have a place to send them, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's unfortunate that people have to make that kind of choice.
Yeah.
Um, are there any other issues or any other ways that you think the state could have, oh, you said you got your information mostly from the news. Do
Yeah.
you know anyone, so for example, who maybe isn't a great English speaker who could have, maybe used other ways of getting information?
Mm-hmm. My mother-in-law,
Oh, mhm.
she would get, information from all types of places that were not, and we would tell her, no, you have to go to the
Oh,
doctor.
okay,
No.
right.
So she did get it.
Mhm.
Got it as soon as we wanted her to, but
Oh,
she
good.
did get it. Um, but uh, I would say they could have done better in dispelling all of the rumors.
Yeah, yeah.
They had a larger campaign on dispelling all of these crazy things that were out
Mm,
there. Oh, well, if take this vaccine, or if you give this to your child will be, they'll have a child who has a defect, or they'll have a child,
yeah,
uh, a disability, I should say,
yeah.
um, or they won't be able to get pregnant, or
Oh,
I had
right.
a lady stop me, a school mom at Walmart one time, and
Uh-huh.
she went on and on about all this conspiracy about the. I'm like, wow, there are some people who
Mhm.
really, like, this has gotten them, like, thinking,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
so maybe if they would have, I don't know, had a campaign to just, like, dispel all these rumors.